Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to answer a question that I was posed to on a separate video from the buoy build. It was on the 80 CRV2 steel. Thank you for the question, Bill. And I will do my best to explain it by, I guess, audio visual. I'll talk and show you what I'm talking about on the ferric chloride. Okay, ferric chloride is an etchant. It is an acid. It is a base acid that eats away metal. Okay, during that, it's actually designed for integrated circuit boards to eat the copper off the back of them, and it will. And once you do it once you drop copper wire or something down in there, and it stays in and length of time, your ferric's over with. I mean, it dies out pretty quick, because that's what it's designed to do, is to eat copper out. But it works as an etchant. Okay, now as an etchant, it does eat steel, but at a much slower rate than it does copper. Needless to say, if you forget, like Jughead here did on a knife, and I throwed it away, it come out looking like a cross between Swiss cheese and a saxophone. It had enough holes in it. I mean, bad. It was awful. I just forgot about it overnight. And it was new, pretty much new ferric chloride. And it just ate it up like everything. It looked like it'd been, I don't know, buried in salt water for 100 years. But anyway, it was bad. I just forgot about it. That's just all there was to it. So, but as an etchant, it does eat steel. That's the reason it'll chemically sharpen your knife if it's fairly close to being sharp in there. That's the reason I keep knocking the edge off of it. Hand sanding sharpens a knife. Acid etching sharpens a knife. So you need a diamond stone to keep it dulled up. Now, as it etches the steel, it does a couple of things to it. Other than eroding it, it changes the chemical composition of the outermost layer of it and provides another layer of oxides that are prone to resist rust. Now, will they rust after ferric chloride? Yes, they will. Will they if you take care of them and do what you're supposed to? No, they won't rust after that. I'm going to show you some examples of this. Once you bring a knife out of the ferric and you buff it down with a 4/0 steel wool and neutralize the acid with Windex, baking soda, TSP, whatever like that, neutralize it. Okay, the acid's dead. It's gone. There's no more acid on the knife. All you have left is the results of the acid on the knife, which is oxides. And that's what gives, you can, like I said, you could do it with a hamon with lemon juice and vinegar. That works really good. And it takes a long time. Ferric's a lot quicker. So, but once you neutralize the ferric, it's gone. It's completely off of it. There's nothing left of the ferric once you clean the knife. You can clean it with Dawn, dishwashing a liquid, or whatever, after you neutralize it. And all the ferric oxide's gone. What you have left is the results of the ferric chloride, which is an oxide layer that, if you take care of, will be there for a long time and help fight rust. But you still got to do your basics. Got to put them up dry, and I store them in the sheaths. A lot of people say, if you're going to store a knife, take it out of the sheath, because the sheath will draw moisture, the leather and everything else like that, and it causes it to rust. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, my knives stay in the sheaths all the time, and they stay in this little attaché case right here. I've had up to 30 or 40 knives in there at one time, and they stay out here in the little knife shop. So, but this knife right here is one of my little survival knives, and it's it's nothing special to amount to anything, but if you can see, it has no rust on it. This one's been made about 3 years, maybe a little bit longer, and it's just not a hit with people. But I still set it out, and they look at it and wonder and awe and all this other stuff about the finish. This finish on it, the blobs there, is mustard. That's what I done. I put mustard on it, and it was dipped in ferric first, and then I buffed it up good, then put mustard on top of it, and I wipe it down and put a few drops of oil on there once in a while. When people pick it up and look at it, now they've been picked up and they've been handled countless times, and with that, people have a tendency to take the thumb to them, see how sharp they are. Well, you keep doing that, you have to re-strop them or sharpen them, because the acids in your fingers and your fingerprints and everything else like that will etch it. You'll etch a fingerprint in the knife if you leave it on there and don't wipe it off. And same way on the firearm, it'll do the same thing there. About any kind of metal, just about. But when they rub their thumb over it, whatever like that, they scrape it off a little bit of the fingerprint oils, amino acids, and yes, I did say amino acids. It will dull your knife. It will eat the edge off of it. So bear that in mind. Every time you thumb one, and test how sharp it is, you're leaving deposits that can, over time, dull them. Especially one that's not been used. It's never been done anything with. Just that, then put it back in the sheath. Yeah, that'll be left on there, and it'll dull. But like I said, there's no rust on it, because the ferric's all gone. Gone. All that's left is the oxides. See, I think Bowie knife. This is an 01 tool steel. It's had ferric chloride on it, and it has been differentially heat treated. It has the hamon basically on it, but you won't see the line nowhere. I done it every which way, all the way down next to the edge, and you don't see it because it's not there. I can't, like I said, some people can get a hamon on 01. I can't. I've tried it. Well, every knife gets differentially heat treated, just about it. Everything. So that's one of the things I do, but still, there's no hamon line on this. And that's 01. This has been made about 3 years, and that's all it does. Is I wipe it down and put a little oil on it every once in a while, put it back in the sheath. And the sheath is a leather sheath, big sheath. And it's lined, see if you can get it, lined with lambskin, not suede. Suede gets too big of particles trapped in it. If there's any dirt, dust, whatever floating around, it keeps the big particles in there and will scratch your blade all to pieces. So that it will. And same way with this one, this big Bowie that shows the hamon. The other one was when I just put back in the sheath, had the same level of claying on it. Natural light's better, but this right here, it's also about 3 years old, and I do nothing to them other than when they come out of that ferric, I rub them down with steel wool, 4/0 steel wool, and hit them with the Windex, and then wipe them off. And once they get wiped off good, if depends on what's next on them. If it's going to be a day or two before I get to them, after that, I'll put a little oil on them, and I use the nothing super special. It's the Norton hunting oil. That's all I use on them. And but that's what the oxides do. They help block. They're a separating layer between atmosphere and steel surface. It's just a coating. And does it last forever? No. You can scratch it off. You can rub it off if you want to. But I wouldn't advise it. But you can. Getting back to it, Bill. I'm sorry. If I'm going to talk, it's going to be a long one. And but that's how the ferric chloride, it just creates a layer of an oxide. An oxide is a form of rust, basically. Oxidation is but it blocks. It just blocks the atmosphere from the knife, from the steel. It's just a barrier in there that, if taken care of reasonably, then it'll outlast you by a couple of 100 years. You know, I mean, if you take care of your blades. And the old timers was correct when they stabbed somebody with their knife before they put them back in the sheath. They'd wipe them off on their breeches legs, so they didn't put a wet knife back in the sheath, wet with blood. Blood's the worst thing in the world to make one. Blood and sheetrock will rust a knife quicker than about anything. Yeah, don't ask me about the sheetrock, but the blood has iron in it, and the iron causes it to go off, and it will rust one in just a little while. So anyway, I hope this helps you, answers your question. It's been a long video for a simple answer. Well, it's not really simple, but that's how it does it. That's how it protects. And like I said, once you get it washed off, it's done. The acid no longer etching, and you've done all the etching it's going to do. So what's left is an oxide layer that protects against rust. Or that's what I found it to be. I don't know what everybody else thinks or whatever like that, whether or not they're knives rust, but these are either 01 or 1095. And so that's about all I use. Some 01, some 1095, and I had that, I got a stick of 1070 to do some stuff with. So, but anyway, I hadn't made a knife with it yet. I've done fire starters with it. But I hope this helps, Bill. I really do, and I thank you for the question. And if you have any more, feel free to ask. I read all the comments, and I try my best to answer them. So anyway, it's like the double quench. You do it. It's called an interrupted quench. You do water first, oil second, and the first one sets the hamon. If it stays in there too long, it'll break. The 10 series steels are made for water, supposedly, but I've found out that if you grind one down, and like you're going to quench it in oil, but only use water first, if you leave it in there for a 5 count, it'll crack. It'll go ting, and you're done. And you have to start over again. I found out that the hard way. I mean, I was just leaving them in there too long, and the pieces that was left of the knife I'm on beautifully. It's just I left them in there too long. So I'm going to go. And again, thank you for the question, Bill. I hope you have a wonderful day, each and every one of you. Until the next time, remember, God bless.